What's up, Star Citizens? Hey, thanks for all the great feedback, by the way. You obviously see I'm putting out a lot more content now. The kids are back at school, which means I have my mornings free. I get to do this. A lot of good feedback from a lot of you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And obviously seeing a lot more traffic in the channel because of this and you. So thank you very much. I appreciate your support. Now, I made a video talking about missiles and countermeasures the other day. There were a lot of things which are kind of, I'm not sure about. But look, here's the thing. Anytime CIG makes some changes, it's not set in stone. They are trying things out. And they will continue fine-tuning a lot of mechanics way down the line. In fact, a closely related space game, Elite Dangerous, still, years later, is fine-tuning their flight and combat mechanics to this day in almost every single patch. So these changes they made to missiles and countermeasures, there are some concerns. First of all, one which came to mind is, hey, like the Shrike, which is a missile boat. Can you only fire one missile at a time from each rack? And that's one of the changes they made. You have a rack that shoots one missile, that's it. You can't lock 20 missiles at the same time like you used to. There's a limitation of this. So there are some concerns for people who love playing the missile boat type gameplay. And Adelis here, a member from Spectrum, made some comments and observations, and he got a response from YogiKlatt, CIG, with some good answers to that. So let's take a look at what Adelis was saying. First of all, only one missile per rack is really bonkers. Many ships are specialized missile boats like the Tana, Shrike, Freelancer, Mist, Constellation, or bombers like the Gladiator and Eclipse only have a few large racks. Not the Eclipse. The Eclipse only fires one anyway, so that wouldn't be included there, but I understand where he's getting at. But let's just browse through quickly what the concerns were and then look what the dev has to say about it. Only one missile type being shot at a time is understandable, but further kills the missile boats with the above logic. 4 locks at a time. Alright, so if your ship has 6 missile racks, you can only lock 4 at a time. Why is that? Let's read more about it. Persistence of knowledge, that is, if a missile shoots past you, can they spin around and still catch you? Does that persistence of knowledge of where you are exist in missile? He'll answer that. And that's basically it. So let's jump into YogiKlatt's answers here. 1. The 1 lock per rack limitation. This is just a temporary measure which has more to do with limitations on certain missile racks. We absolutely want to give players the ability to launch big salvos, but we also think this process must come at a bigger price than just smashing the same button 20 times. Good thing you said 20, because that's the example I used. So if you haven't tried this before, or if you don't own a Constellation for an example, the Constellation has this massive arm to swing out full of missiles. You start smashing the missile lock button 20 times, it'll lock 20 missiles, then you hold it down and boom, like Macross, missile storm there, all the missiles shoot off and your target hopefully explodes. Changes in this regard will happen with the missile operator mode in 2021. I see. So I think what they want to do here is, yeah, maybe you can lock 20 missiles, but you won't be able to do it as a solo pilot. You're going to have a co-pilot who has to handle that. Basically saying that you need to have more than one person in your ship. I don't want to say it's a nerf, but you can't go out there and be a missile boat by yourself. It's got to be with someone. All right, but these are plans coming down the pipe, not right now. Until then, we will likely keep the 1 lock per rack limitation. I understand this will change the combat experience for missile boat loaders, but please keep in mind that still have lots of missiles and locking targets not take long. Okay, number 2, the 4 lock limitation. As you suggested, the max amount of missile launchers that your ship can handle will be driven by the ship's avionics in later versions. Well, makes kind of sense. If you want to lock a lot of missiles, maybe you could have the computing power to handle those locks on the ship itself. That's going to be a limiting factor. Interesting mechanic. I'd like to see it in place. In 3.11, however, it'll be a static number. It is 4 at the moment, but depending on how the ETF feedback goes, we might change it. Again, nothing written in stone. They want to try it out, and based upon feedback from Invocati, they'll fine-tune that from there. Attrition Wall. Alright, Attrition Wall is basically when you're a missile boat, you get into a dogfight, you go and spend all your missiles, now you have no way to shoot anyone, and now you die. Is that how things are going to work? Well, we hope there are enough dynamic gameplay elements to avoid an Attrition Wall. Timing for deploying countermeasures is a very important factor, and there are quite a couple of factors when you play together with friends, as your own countermeasures are also affecting missiles which are not meant for you. Again, let's draw an example from Elite Dangerous again. Now, in Elite Dangerous, if you are flying against another pilot who's using assisted gimbaled weapons, what you can do in Elite Dangerous that works well is you drop the countermeasure, and the countermeasure makes your opponent lose their luck. Now, losing their luck gives you, I don't know if it's 5 or 10 seconds, to essentially reposition yourself or escape or find some way to counter and attack them. Countermeasures have a cooldown timer because they greatly affect what your opponent is able to do. This timer is actually very important. This is a very, very important statement which really changed a lot of how we PvP and PvE in the game. You dropping a countermeasure, which has a cooldown timer, but makes your opponent lose their luck, both gimbal, maybe, and missiles, will be a game changer as far as combat goes in this game. Again, what the timer will be something you have to test. In fact, if you spoof your own missiles, your own countermeasures, if you're not careful, all right. That being said, Evocati and PTU phases will be focused on the feedback threads and try to get you the right amount available in countermeasures for each ship and the cooldown timer for those countermeasures, no doubt. Persistence of knowledge. This is when a missile can lock on you and you manage to evade it. Does that missile relock on you? Let's see what it says about that. Number 4. Persistence of knowledge. It really just means that the missile does not really know at all times where the target is. All missile seeker heads have varying field of views, but they cannot look directly behind them anymore. Okay, so that's good. If you manage to see a missile coming for you, you head towards it, evade last second, the missile shoots behind you, there are less chances that missile does a complete 180 and finds you again. If you manage to evade in that sense, you deserve that missile to not track you anymore, in my opinion. This is good, and that sounds like what they're doing for. Number 5, locking and relocking. In the long term, we are trying to go in the direction where missiles are not just additional weapons during dogfights. We instead want them to take a proper slot in combat space and have areas where they are useful and areas where they are not useful. I agree completely. There are going to be certain situations that if you are, say, a good 4 or 5 clicks away from the target and they have a long-range missile, that missile should do a pretty good job at getting you. But if you are up close to your target, there must be less chance that a long-range missile should be able to get you. Again, it'll be some kind of, definitely a lot of fine-tuning they have to do to get this right, but I agree completely with that. I think there'll be some perfect situations for missiles and some less than perfect situations for missiles, giving both the attacker and the defender a way to counter each other. It's got to be some rock, paper, scissors in space in a way. So a good informative post by Yogi. Guys, keep in mind always the changes they make are not set in stone, and I see way too many people freaking out that they're trying something and losing their minds that this is going to change or ruin the game for them. No, it's a pendulum. It's going to swing one way, correct the other way. Eventually they'll find a sweet spot, but it doesn't happen every single patch. So give them some patience. Good posted by YogiKlatt. Thank you for that. Guys, you know what to do. If you enjoy my content, give me a thumbs up. I appreciate you supporting my channel. All the feedback is great. Your comments below. And hey, a special giveaway coming soon. Stay tuned, subscribe. I'll let you know what it is.